I'm speaking to you at what I know is an increasingly challenging time.
This will be probably the toughest week between this week and next week.
The most testing time for our nation.
A time of disruption in the life of our country.
This is a pandemic.
Of course, we'll pay a huge economic price.
The Chinese government is implementing travel restrictions on individual Chinese citizens.
Body aches, I was coughing like crazy.
It's killed 70,000 people so far.
I want to bring you an update in the meantime on a story we're following overseas. Britain's Prime Minister is in intensive care.
The focus of all political parties should be to save their people.
Who are staying at home.
You stay inside and save yours.
Natural selection.
It's like a miracle. It will disappear. It could get worse.
He's also 55 years old and male, which elevates his risk of complications.
Not just about flattening the curve, it's about...
They hit you like you got hit by a club.
It's like playing with fire.
The question I want to answer today is, what is God's message to us in this troublesome, trying time we are facing?
The National Coronavirus Command Council has decided to enforce a nationwide lockdown for 21 days with effect from midnight on Thursday, the 26th of March. We need to urgently and dramatically escalate our response. While this measure will have a considerable impact on people's livelihoods, on the life of our society and on our economy.
You need to appreciate how we as humans really are manipulated and can be manipulated by fear and by majority blindness, which is exactly what's transpiring right now.
This is extremely dangerous for a population like ours.
The only outcome from this behavior is the installation of fear.
Without decisive action, the number of people infected will rapidly increase from a few hundred to tens of thousands, and within a few weeks to hundreds of thousands.
So who's Kurt Herman? Look, I'd like to think I'm an entrepreneur. I'd like to think I'm a humanitarian at heart. I care about people immensely. I'm living with my team right now and my staff. We've taken up accommodation, isolated ourselves for the interests of making sure everyone's long-term well-being is protected. And I think that should say something about the leadership of our whole company. I'd like to say I'm very blessed to have a God-fearing guy who's young, very dynamic, grown up in a mining culture called Hendré Petersen. He's my CEO of my group. We're a young company. We're a young board of company. And we're doing the very best we can in very trying times.
Let's persevere during this time. To persevere means that let's just carry on. Let's push through. It's been difficult times in South Africa for many, many years. And we as a company and people need to stand together and just push through. God is our resource. God is bigger than this coronavirus.
So we shut down world economies based on the fact that we have a 2% worldwide infection rate. On that 2%, we have a 1% mortality rate on the infection rate, and yet we are decimating economies based on facts that we're talking about statistics that are relevant to a common year's winter cold or flu. And I'm worried about that because I think the economic downturn that our economy was going through didn't need this sort of economic shock right now.
Really look at the economic impact this to society. A country with almost 40% unemployment, a society with 54% of people living below the poverty line. And you talk to and listen to the news every day, you listen to experts. South Africa beyond COVID-19, we might end up actually with more people unemployed than employed.
Many people suffer.
We should be working because we can't benefit on this lockdown. Everything's just a mess.
It was not right for the government to lock down the country because now we're struggling.
We have a situation that
We're facing a forced shutdown that we've never had. If it stops today, we will lose anything between 1 to 1.5 million our existing jobs.
One thing we should have thought of is how we're going to keep this economy going. We should have never shut it down.
South Africa's never been in a worse place, and I think the average household was under terrible strain prior to this shock and this unexpected event. And I'm really, really concerned around how we pick ourselves up after this.
So first of all, the COVID-19 could not have come at the worst time for the globe. It could not have come at the worst time for South Africa, because I think we are caught amongst probably 4 seismic shifts that are happening concurrently, simultaneously, and in parallel. So first, it's this notion of the 9 wasted years of state capture, where we estimate that probably in 4 years, we have lost about 1.5 trillion South African rands. Over the whole of 9 years, we have probably been siphoning off about 100 billion South African rands just to the 2 Zubda families. So that's on the one hand. On the second hand, we had just gotten into a technical recession, which then means that our ability and capacity to stimulate economic growth was constrained. Then the third was COVID-19, which started around December in Wuhan, spread like wildfire throughout the rest of the world, ended up in 193 countries with a world population of almost 8 billion. Half of those are now under lockdown in a variety of ways. Lastly, we are now caught with the Moody's downgrade. One of the 3 that was still keeping us above investment grade now also decided to keep us below investment grade. So for me, it's like the one hobbled the one hand, the other hand, and then the last 2 hobbled both our feet together. So this is a economic tsunami, a financial catastrophe, a socio-economic disaster of untold proportions.
What is the balance between health and between economic activities?
We just want to survive. We want food, we want job, we want money. We are young. We need power. We need to lead.
They got it terribly wrong. They thought it's just another blip.
Now we no longer care about the ANC t-shirts. We're hungry for success. We're hungry for jobs. We're hungry for victory.
Because they woke up too late. They failed in their leadership.
They're going to do as they please, because as far as the current government is concerned, they have a God-given right to govern and rule us forever.
I mean, this cannot be, leadership cannot sink lower than that. Business community, likewise, they're in a panic. And in South Africa, we don't have a culture of business leadership being at the forefront of national issues.
Life comes once, never come twice.
Must we work together? Maybe the way I think the South Africa can go forward.
We are no longer in the old apartheid.
Because their interest is about how can we really loot this country. It's not about you and I. We don't really feature in their thinking, and it's been clear ever since Mandela moved out of power.
As for ANC, they promise us sweets to vote for them, and then after we're giving them what they want, there is nothing, only the false hope.
I can tell you, if we let ANC be in government for another 5 years or so, I can tell you Zimbabwe will look like a Sunday school picnic.